Okay, we have Childe at C0, and I want to do some experimentation with different playstyles with him to see how it is different as you go up to constellations. I can get him to constellation 6, and we'll play around with different playstyles in each constellation. This video will not go over the optimal artifact build and artifact sets because I just don't have that many artifact sets farmed, and there's already a lot of great videos that do that, and there's a lot of great other resources online for you to check out, you know, which artifact sets are good on Childe. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm using, but it mostly comes down to, you know, what you have farmed and which stats you have on which artifact sets. So that's not too important for me and for the purposes of this video. So alright, let's get started. In terms of this domain, this abyss floor, I'm not really too concerned about clearing it. I kind of just want to check out the different playstyles I can do with Childe. So first, let's actually take a look at his rotation, alright, his skill rotation. So what I usually do
Wouldn't
is,
gliding be fast? Time for
for
takeoff.
C0, I get everyone the Venti ult, and then I get him to ult using bow form, switch into melee form, and try to get my ult back up before it's cooldown.
Shouldn't let your guard down.
I'm also not too concerned about the numbers here. You can see the numbers for yourself. I don't have a great artifact set on him.
Go. Opening box of a death
You see here the cooldown of the E really hindering my clear speed here. Okay, now let's rinse and repeat.
Time for
this
takeoff.
Since there's some fire enemies,
Here we go. How rude.
you can also put it
On reveal.
No time to lose. Shouldn't let your guard down.
Time for takeoff. Wouldn't gliding be... Here we go.
Great.
Guys.
If I stop getting knocked over.
No time to lose.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this guy's gonna keep freezing.
Brace yourself. Time for takeoff. Sacred name, fortune preserver.
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Looks like I held that. Take this guy out. The freeze lock with Childe and TP is really great. Really proving its worth. Oh no! I thought I was invincible when I casted her ult. I guess I just got killed right before that was able to go off. Alright, but I got
No time to
here. Unfortunately, this
Brace
ice guy
yourself.
is kind of annoying. Yeah, this is gonna take a while because I don't have fire. that was pretty good. I think that was a good team for that particular enemy set. But now we have the hard part of trying to kill this guy
Life
alone.
goes on.
With just oh my god, with just Childe and
No time to lose.
Might be able to cheese this with just constant freezing and the hitting of the weak spots. Great, now they're both down. Now see if we can pick some energy, hopefully.
Shouldn't let your guard down.
Okay, let's
Life goes on.
freeze them again. Okay, let's try to get. There we go. There's one.
Faster.
Now let's see if we can just
Life
stun
goes
lock
on.
this.
You're mine.
I mean, it would be better if they were together, but the situation is a bit beyond that right now.
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Okay, we got that one. Perfect. Yes.
Amateur mistake. Amateur mistake.
One down. Now just stun off this one. Just finish it
Sacred
off.
name. Fortune presents.
Yeah, and he's just not gonna get to move at all. Damage is okay too. So there you have it. That's the kind of playstyle I do with Childe, and just to reiterate, all
Think you can
prevention,
get away?
then
Nice.
put down your elemental
royal
stuff, and then all
You can run.
Childe,
You can't hide.
then use your melee, do it a bunch of times, and then when the ult is back up, you ult again. That is him at C0, and as you saw in the footage, it was pretty ridiculous how much damage he was able to dish out. And with the help of the elemental reactions, that was just insane. And the utility part of it is that he is also an archer, so like this range mode is not good for nothing. It's actually very useful. It's very useful for rune guards to hit the weak spot, and it's very useful for when you need to just get some distance, dish out some damage, and regroup and wait for your cooldowns. So it's very valuable that he can do both range and melee. So that's him as C0, and now let's test him with C1. Oh, by the way, this is my Childe build. He's not even at level 80. He doesn't even have 2,000 attack. I'm using Rust, and these are my artifacts. They're not like insane. I have a decent amount of crit rate because I'm using a 5-star maxed out crit rate artifact there, and then I have 26% crit damage, which isn't that high, and yeah, it's just a bunch of 5-star level 20s that I got from bosses. Like, look at this. This is not even that great. Like, I don't have a single crit rate or crit damage or attack percent on this one. This one is pretty good, but yeah, it's just a gladiators set. Yeah, this one isn't even a 5-star. This one is pretty good. It's a hydro bonus, and it has crit rate. but no attack percent, no crit damage, no energy recharge. This one's also pretty good. It has crit damage, it has flat attack and elemental mastery. It doesn't have the crit damage here isn't that high. The attack is not that high, and I don't have attack percent. So like these artifacts are not, you know, cream of the crop artifacts by any means. And this one is not even leveled up. This one's at level 4. So I don't even have a second 2-piece passive here. I don't even have a 4-piece. So that just goes to show the power you can get out of this guy at C0 with the right team. And as you saw from the footage, I was not, you know, esports pro gaming league level of control there. Like I was just playing pretty loose and just going through my rotations, not really managing my stamina too effectively. Yeah, it just shows that this character is pretty insane. Now let's get him to C1. Okay, so we will test this with Childe at C1, and this floor was pretty easy for us last time, so we'll see if our clear time gets a bit faster.
Time for takeoff. Here we go. Oh, it's ripping.
You can run. You can't hide. No time. Shouldn't let your guard down.
Time for takeoff. Sacred name. Fortune preserve.
Alright, so we swapped out of Childe to Venti, and now we're swapping back in, and his
No time to lose.
E is back up pretty quickly. Last time we kind of did the same thing, and we had to wait a while for his E. Okay, now for the more difficult floor. I lost 2 characters last time I did this. So we'll see what happens if this makes this floor a bit easier.
Think you can get away? Yahoo! Go.
Killjoy, we've only just begun.
Shouldn't let your guard down.
Stay tight. Almost.
No time to lose.
Go. Oh. Opening box of the Death Knight. Shadow Raven, let night fall. Here we go.
No time to lose. Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, wouldn't gliding be faster? By royal decree.
So here I'm trying to mainly save my my ult for my melee form, because that's what does the most damage. Okay, this time I have Venti too, but I don't know it will make
Brace
a
yourself.
significant difference here.
Nice.
I mean, I'm sure Chi-Chi and
Didn't let your guard down.
yeah, let's get them in a freeze lock like last time. And the other thing about the freeze lock is that it makes it significantly easier to target their weak points.
Faster.
Okay, let me
Yeah, think you can get away?
swap to
My
quick
royal.
Okay.
No time to lose.
Swap back. There's range form.
My royal.
And this is just
Yahoo!
cleanup.
Your mom couldn't let your guard down.
As we saw, his ability to swap back to melee form quicker really helps. We saw in the fight with the slimes that I was able to clean up the floor much faster, although for that floor it wasn't that important because I wasn't having much trouble with it in the first place.
You know, there are better ways
On
to
the
seek out
second
our
floor,
enemies
I
than,
think
well,
what
standing
happened
here.
was I just had a better rotation from the start, and that really helped me. That really helped me clean up one or two guys from the get-go, like right after Venti's ult. I was able to take down two of them and then just clean up the rest. I think that fight was more just my rotation and just playing a little bit better. But
This
his
place
lower
is pretty
cooldown
dead. By which
did
I mean,
really help
there's
him
nothing to kill.
swap in and out, just dance in between the forms to keep some distance and then close in, and then keep some distance and then close in, just kind of dancing around the cooldowns of my other characters. And then we saw in the third fight that the fight went a lot smoother, not only because I had my two other characters, but because he was able to swap between the forms quicker. I was able to get in my damage windows quicker as well. And I had a bit more experience with the fight, so I was able to lock them down, lock down the rune guards with his aim shots and Chi-Chi's freezing. So I think what we're gonna see for the rest of the video is that I'm just gonna get better at the fights in general because I just have more practice. But hopefully it will give you like a decent idea of how he gets more powerful with the more constellations. Okay, so when opponents are affected by Riptide are defeated, he gets 4 energy. So this will help him having his ult up even more. I didn't really feel like I had much trouble ulting back to back, like whenever it was off cooldown, because of the mob density. But we'll see. I mean, I think with the second and the the third fight is where I really will see this in action. And I'm not really doing a great job of ulting back to back anyways, so let's see. Alright, so let's see if the energy recharge comes into play here.
Time for takeoff.
I don't think it will really matter that much.
Let's
But
play.
let's see what happens.
Brace yourself. This is
Oh
gonna
no,
hurt.
I messed up. Okay, next rotation. Let's see.
Time for takeoff. Sacred land, fortune preserver.
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
You can run.
Oh,
Can't hide.
okay, I mean, I didn't all back to back, but I think we saw there that because of the mob density, this didn't matter at all. Okay, so let's see if the energy recharge that Childe gets with his Constellation 1 is of significant help here with these fewer enemies.
Think you can get away? Here we go. Nice. Wow.
Can't run.
No touching.
Opening box of the red diaper.
You can't run.
Midnight Phantasma.
Don't be a killjoy. We've only just
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Time for takeoff. Life goes on.
I stuck up.
We can see that the C0 cooldown reduction coming into play here.
Couldn't let your guard down. No time to recover. Hips.
Here we go. Life goes on. Life goes on. By royal shadow raven, let night fall.
I don't know why I did that. This is safe, but slow. My ult back.
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Not as great as last time. I think my rotation was a bit slow. I missed the kill on 2 of the enemies, but we did see that I was able to ult a bit more often, and I was able to swap my stance more often, so it was of significant help. Alright, now let's see if the ult comes into play here, if the energy recharge even helps us here.
Think you can
I'm
get
not
away?
even, I don't even think Venti helps that much.
By royal
Couldn't let your guard down.
by royal decree.
Yeah, so because I can't even get a kill easily here, that second constellation isn't really doing me any favors. I need to find a good time to apply this defeat block.
No time to lose. Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Odds revealed by
I just finished them off with the electro charge. Oh, okay. So my hypothesis was that floor 1,
place is pretty
the
dead.
C2 energy
By which
recharge
I
was
mean,
not going to
there's
make
nothing to kill.
a difference at all because of the high density of low HP monsters. I didn't need to have that extra energy recharge. I was going to get all the energy I needed to alt off cooldown anyways. And for floor 2, I thought that it was going to be where C2 come into effect the most, where there was like a few high toughness monsters, and killing one of them was able to make the difference between ulting or not ulting. But I didn't really see that, to be honest. Maybe it's just the way I played, where I kind of had to get out of close range to
there are better ways to seek out
to
our
avoid
enemies
getting
than,
killed.
well, standing here.
But I didn't really see the energy coming into effect. And then for floor 3 against the rune guards, I expected it not to come into effect at all, and it really didn't. The biggest thing for me for that floor was just keep them in the freeze lock and shooting at them from far away and then going in close when they're CC down or when I have hit their sweet spots. So yeah, I don't think C2 is that valuable, to be honest. It's like a very fine balance in terms of what situation you need to be in for it to make the difference between ulting or not ulting. Okay, so we skipped over this one. It's just more damage. Not much to say here. We're gonna go to this one, and what this does is when you have a mark on them, it will just trigger by itself every 4 seconds. If you're in melee stance, and if you're in... So yeah, it will trigger whatever passive depending on your stance. If it's melee, then it's Riptide Slash, and if it's range, then it's Riptide Flash, and they're a little bit different. And these are not subject to the time intervals that would typically apply to those two Riptide effects. So that means you can still proc it normally on top of this every 4 seconds. Alright, so I think that's like a significant amount of extra damage. Okay, let's pay attention to the marks and see how the passive for C4 works.
think you can get away.
You can run, but you can't hide.
See this? The mob density just makes C2 completely worthless.
Here we go. Time for takeoff. Opening box of a
Riptide.
Oh, see that? Do you see that damage? How it just kept blocking? Wow, that was a lot of damage. And when they're close together, they proc off each other. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so this is the significant test here. This is a good balance of difficult enemies and enemy quantity. And I hope we can actually finish this without dying.
Time for takeoff. Guys,
Riptide.
Alright. Alright, let's see the damage that it's putting out. You see that? The procs are just procking off each other, and look at that. 2 of them are already dead, the other ones are already half health, and I have my ult up. Yeah.
think you can get away?
Swap
A
from
little gliding
Venti,
with that. Opening box
and
to the death
let's get
ray
some healing going on.
Rise.
Yeah, and the E is back up again.
Let's play.
Unfortunately, I don't have
Play.
I don't have anything that's great against ice shield. Okay, now let's see if the see how the damage just keeps stacking. Okay, my ult's already back up.
No time to lose.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, let's heal.
Rise.
Nice, and that was the best time I could have got. Yeah, so the marks really do a lot more damage if you get to C4. Okay, so this is the Rune Guard section, and I think the C4 marks will actually be of significant help here too. I mean, of course, but particularly because I'm just kind of trying to snipe them.
Yeah, think you can get away?
Let me see.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Oh my god, okay. I don't know what happened to the aim there.
Wouldn't gliding be fast?
Alright, let's try to get them on a... Yeah, let's
You're mine.
freeze lock here. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get enough energy
No
to
time to
ult
lose.
because I can't kill one of them that quick. Look at the damage. Okay, let's get the free lock
Safe
again.
again. Fortune. Rise.
Riptide. No time to lose.
Look at the energy. Like, I don't even need C2.
No time.
I just get so much energy by just slashing them.
Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
I was able to ult back to back. Oh, still so close. So with C4, we see like a significant improvement in his DPS. We saw with the first chamber, the first floor, with the slimes, when they're grouped together and the passive just procs off each other. That was huge amounts of DPS that significantly boosted our clear time. And then for the second floor, it really helped us kill right from the get-go the two enemies, and there was only 2 left to clean up. Whereas the last time, we kind of just got lucky with the first 2 kills. I think I could be playing a little bit better as well in terms of rotating through my skills. But I mean, I was playing pretty loose this previous time, and the damage was just, you know, it was just insane. It really helped me get through the first two enemies quickly. Alright, now time for the real business, the C6. So, when his ult is cast in melee, the CD of your stance swap is reset. And this only takes place once he returns to his range stance. Okay, yeah. So as long as we're ulting in melee, we are guaranteed to swap again whenever we want. Now let's see if this makes a significant impact.
Wouldn't gliding be faster? Time for takeoff. Here we go. Go. My royal
Riptide.
Here we go.
Okay, so I didn't
Time for takeoff.
actually ult in his melee form, but I don't think it matters because
Riptide.
yeah, I don't think it matters because my my melee form was up anyways because I just didn't spend that much time in melee. This is the second chamber,
Time for takeoff.
and the one that I historically have most trouble with. Oh my god, that was so fast. It's because of his talents. I couldn't even show the cooldown reset. So let's see if on this last floor with the two rune guards, if the cooldown reset makes a difference.
Let's play. Think you can get away? My royal Rise.
You can run. Can't. Tidal wave. Brace yourself. This is gonna hurt.
Sacred name. Fortune preserver.
No time to lose.
Wow, that was so fast. Wow, I completely freeze locked them with Chi-Chi and Childe, and I didn't even have to go into range mode. And with the cooldown reset, I was able to just DPS them down while the freeze lock was going on. And yeah, I mean, the cooldown reset not only helped me in terms of the DPS, but it helped me sustain the freeze. So his C6 is pretty powerful. So we played Abyss 9 many times with Childe from C0 all the way to C6, and unfortunately the testing didn't turn out perfectly. I couldn't stay in melee stance with a consistent timing, so the cooldown numbers were different each fight. It was kind of hard to compare, but I mean, I think we can see that the fight was night and day difference from C6 to C0. Although that has a lot to do with just me getting more experience with the fight, me getting more experience with Childe. As I do these tests, I'm also getting more practice. But I mean, we saw a lot of these effects come into play. So let's start with C1. This 20% was pretty huge. I felt like my timing windows were just a lot more frequent, and it was just a lot less downtime from where I can like really dish out a lot of DPS. Although, you know, again, a lot of that could be just me managing the stance switches and the character switches better. Um, but I think the 20% is pretty good. For C2, this was by far the most useless one. I almost never actually realized the benefits of this. So the times when I was able to alt, the times when the mob density was enough to actually benefit from this, I was able to ult back to back anyways. Like killing the enemies and using my skills gave me enough energy to alt back to back whenever they're off cooldown anyways. And then when there wasn't enough mobs for me to kill to actually get this passive, um, yeah, I couldn't generate enough energy, or I just generated enough energy with the alt, um, anyways, without killing anyone. So this is absolutely useless. I think this constellation is absolutely useless. This and this, I think, is by far the most important ones, honestly, because the amount of damage you're getting from this per hit when you're in your melee stance is just bonkers, right? This increases your burst damage from the switch, and then it increases the damage for every hit of your melee. So this is huge, and this is huge too. Like you're ulting a lot, and your ult does so much AOE damage. This is pretty big. The amount of burst this gives you is a game changer. I think it's so much more important than this, and even this 20%. I think. This one it was hard to notice, but I think when Inventi's ult and the mob density was there, right? We saw this come into effect where the procs just kind of hit off each other. The marks just procced off each other. Um, and then I think this is just a nice added extra DPS. Although it was kind of hard for me to keep track of which marks were procking and which procs were from this and which procs were from just me hitting them. It was very hard for me to tell. But I think this does add a lot of DPS. I felt like the clears were much quicker after I leveled this up. And for the final one, this is pretty huge. I mean, his it changes the way you play him. So instead of having to play him as somebody who has like a particular timing window of damage or a particular DPS timing window, instead he can just constantly be out and constantly be doing DPS. But the rotation is a bit different though. So before C6, what you would do is you would alt, and then you would use your E, and then you would slash around, and then when you get your alt again, you alt in melee form, and then you switch to some other characters, and you do your stuff with your other characters, and then you switch back to him, and then yeah, you wait for your E to go off cooldown again, and in the meantime, you do some aim shots, right? But with Constellation 6, you can swap back right away after you ult in melee form. But the important thing to keep in mind is that it doesn't mean you just have no cooldown on your E anymore. You have to be able to actually ult in your melee form to get that cooldown reset. So, with that, your rotation would be you either alt in range form, or if you don't think you'll get enough energy recharge, like if the mob density isn't there, then you just don't alt your range form. And then you go into melee, attack, alt in melee form, and then go back to range form, or go to another character. Actually, that's a lot more common. You would go to another character, and then when you swap back to Childe, you can go back to melee form again. So you almost never have to go into your range form if you manage your alt properly, and or if there is just enough mob density for you to alt back to back. and I think that's like a
I wonder
huge
what the
difference
rest of the
in terms
Harbingers are up
playstyle.
to.
So
Plotting and scheming on an
yeah.
ever grander scale,
if
no
you
doubt.
don't have C6, your playstyle would be to, well, you can't really dance between the two forms that easily. You would either, like, if there's no mob density, so say you're just fighting a boss, you would have to pick which ult you want to do. Anyways, I think my footage and then my explanation was helpful. Unfortunately, the test environment wasn't too great, and I don't really have enough time to, set up the perfect test. Maybe I will do some videos of him doing some boss fights, because the boss fights are drastically different versus fights against many different mobs. Again, you have to be mindful of your mob density. That kind of determines how often you can ult, and you have to be mindful of your ult cooldown and your melee stance cooldown. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching.